Hi, it's Laura and Michelle from Empowered Decision. What we want to talk about is the concept of leadership and taking that from a theoretical training course that you might go to how do you take that into a theoretical kind of application of that. And we're hearing about that from individuals who are either aspiring or looking forward to leadership, or people who are in a leadership role but maybe, you know, there's a context change or something, and also from corporates who are saying to us, hey, we're putting people into leadership roles and it just doesn't seem to be working. And I think there's a lot of change, the pace is very fast at the moment. The amount of time that managers used to be able to give to mentoring is sliding a bit. And so, you know, what we want to talk about is why is it so difficult to take it from here to there? And I think some of the things are that you get this great theoretical understanding, you get the concepts and the principles, but it's like taking a whole chunk of information and then how do you apply it? And you've got the nuances of your particular team, the culture of your team, you've got the barriers that might be there, you've got the mindset, the personalities, the dynamics of that, and what you're looking to achieve as well, your own mindset in terms of how much you're prepared to sort of push things and not, and your confidence, and all of those things all mesh into making it very difficult to take it from here to here.
Yeah. I'm working with a client at the moment that's probably a really good example of this. So highly academic. She has an engineering degree, she has an MBA, she became really competent in her space over the last 10, 12 years. And the natural progression obviously for people is then to say, right, what's next? It's a leadership role. So I went on a couple of leadership courses, and I think the question was, she said, I understand how I need to do my job. I now understand that there is a leadership way, that there are different styles, that there are approaches, that there are certain things that I need to focus on, but nothing translates to me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when I go into my team and then sit in front of them and go, okay, how do I put this concept? And what we're working on, we put a game plan together, which I'm quite excited about. We're sort of halfway through it now. And where we are is we just identified with her what she wants to be, where she believes in terms of her capability and her personality and everything else, just to take her into that role. Yes, like what kind of leader do you want to be? Never mind the theoretical side, because there she can get guidance. Once she understands what kind of leader she feels she's going to be best at and where she's going to thrive, then she can go and have a look at the academic side and say, okay, let me learn a couple of other tricks. So we did that first, and then we took each of her team members and said, let's understand what you have in front of you. Let's really understand the individual. Before we start leading and everything else, let's just get to know them. Let's understand their pressure points. Let's understand their fears. Let's understand their strengths, and then put it all together and say, right, what does that team now look like? What do you want the team to look like? So it's just to create that bit of a vision of packaging it, and then looking at the theory and saying, right, now how do I get guidance from that theoretical side to put it in practically? And
what are team common themes and what are individual themes?
Yes. So that was because we have a couple of and you have a couple of pressure points when you go into leadership, where you've got difficult or sticky situations that you're dealing with. So we said exactly that. We said we're going to take the common problems or the pressures that people have in that space. We're going to address them in a group context, but then we're also going to have an individual focus to say, okay, that individual needs a certain amount of guidance or support. And then what we're looking at now is also the exciting part is once that's all glued together, now you start looking at that individual and saying, right, how do I progress them? How do I grow them? And that's the path we are following. And she was saying to me yesterday, she said, you know what, it's so simple when you sit and you practically have a look at the person. When I see it theoretically, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how to talk. When you think
about your whole journey, I remember when I first started out, it was like, I might have an idea about how to go and talk about sort of a topic, whether it's growth or an issue or whatever, with a team member. And it was being able to practice that, think about how that could go right or wrong, where you could take it, and then going and doing that and then getting feedback, okay, this went well, this didn't go so well.
Yes.
Okay, it's that continual
Yes.
feedback,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah.
And I think the big thing is tapping into the individual, and that's to me the biggest challenge. And that's what we said. We had a look at, so this team, 7 people, we had a look and we said, okay, this person needs buy-in. This person's not going to move unless they fully understand where you're coming from and that they understand the whole process. This person needs understanding and guidance because they have personal issues that they're working through that is really complicating their work scenario. And I think you become really good as a leader if you have the ability to tap into the individuals and then use the theoretical side to say, okay, there are 10 steps that I can go through, or there are 5 things that I can do in order to get there. But I think that is the part that's missing. And again, like you were saying,
and what balance do you put on relationships, professional development, performance,
Yes.
that the expectations, all of that mix, isn't it? Yeah.
And then I think what you were saying is critical. I think that the reason why we started working together was because the company was prepared to fund any theoretical, but they didn't have time to do the mentoring. And she was also saying the fact that there's an external party, she doesn't have to prove herself to me, she doesn't have to feel guarded. And she said, I can say to you, I feel completely uncomfortable working in this space at the moment with this individual, and know that it's not going to be on a performance review. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's the part that for me, it's a critical part of companies going forward in this massive change. They need to look after that middle layer. I think companies get very weak when they're strong at the top and they're strong at the bottom, and they're not looking after these guys. They need to mentor people. You don't learn any other way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is so many people are moving into those roles,
Quick.
and they're moving very quickly. So it's like you might not have had that 2, 3, 5 years or whatever, really getting to know the job well. And it's just also that positioning when you move into that role. So you might have been in a team, suddenly you're a team leader or whatever. How do you do that transition in a way that works for you and it works for the team?
And also, even if you've been in a leadership role before, if you join a new company or a new team, you need time to get to know the people. And I think sometimes that isn't part of the expectation. It's sort of hit the ground running because we need that leader in there, get people to perform the language, high performance team, get all of that going. And I think that rush we need to pull unplug it a little bit and say, just give yourself that opportunity to really because I think people become really powerful when they understand that individual. That's when you can really get the best out of everyone, but that takes the time. So that's what we are developing at the moment. We are working quite hard in terms of developing a leadership, a growth mindset, space and program for people at that middle layer, and we'll stay tuned for that because we'll let you know what we're doing about it.